They told him to put his hands where they could see them. That bark, sharp and heavy, cut through the noise of the airport like a whip. Folks froze mid-stride, luggage wheels skidding to a stop. And there he was, Director Marcus Hale, head of the country's top law enforcement agency, standing calm, shoulders squared, briefcase still in hand. He wasn't just another traveler passing through. But the guard who stopped him didn't know that, or maybe didn't care. "Hands up, sir." "Don't make me ask again," the officer said. His name was Darren Cole, 31, fresh from a mall security gig and puffed up with the kind of authority that clings to a uniform. He looked at Marcus and didn't see decades of service or the man who carried the weight of national security on his shoulders. No, he saw a black man in an expensive suit, and his prejudice did the rest. Marcus raised his hand slowly. "Good afternoon, officer." What seems to be the problem? His voice was steady, calm, almost too calm. It made Cole bristle. "You fit the description of a suspect we're tracking," Cole sneered. "Possible terrorist activity. I'll need you to come with me." People around them started recording. Phones popped up like prairie dogs, catching every twitch of Marcus's jaw, every ounce of Cole's swagger. And right then, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years, not fear, but irony. That morning, he'd briefed the Attorney General about racial profiling in federal security. Hours later, he'd become the case study. He could have shut it down in seconds. One call, one flash of his credentials, and the whole mess would have dissolved. But he didn't. He let it ride. He let the injustice show itself raw and undeniable because he knew the cameras would tell a story no press release ever could. Cole slapped plastic zip ties around Marcus's wrist tight enough to draw blood. "You're under arrest." Suspicious behavior resisting lawful detention. "Resisting," Marcus said, holding the officer's stare. "I've done nothing but comply." Cole smirked for the crowd. "Tell it to the judge. Or the feds." The irony made Marcus almost laugh, if only the man knew. What Cole couldn't see was the small vibration on Marcus's belt. His government-issued device had already flagged distress signals across the network. In 30 seconds, agents from Washington to Los Angeles were getting the same alert. "Director compromised Atlanta terminal, respond immediately." Cole dragged him through the terminal like he'd caught the prize of the year. Travelers whispered, pointed, recorded, some shaking their heads, others muttering, "Classic." Another black man getting treated like a criminal. The videos went live before they even reached the holding room. Inside that fluorescent box with bolted chairs and a one-way mirror, Cole strutted like he was auditioning for a movie. "Sit down," he barked, pulling out a tablet to film what he thought would be his interrogation masterpiece. "Let's start with your real name." Marcus sat, wrist bleeding, back straight. "My name is Marcus Hale. I am the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." Cole laughed loud and bitter. "And I'm the President of the United States." "Nice cover story, pal. You picked the wrong airport." Officer Cole, Marcus said, his voice low but carrying weight. "In 3 minutes, this room will be filled with federal agents. If you end this now, you might walk away with your badge intact. If you don't, well, you're writing your own ending." Cole leaned back, smirking. "The only people coming through that door will be my backup, and they'll thank me for catching you." But then came the sound, faint at first, then building. Sirens, not one or two, but dozens. The floor seemed to vibrate with the incoming storm. Cole's chest puffed even more. "Hear that backup? Told you." Marcus held his gaze. "Backup, yes, but not yours." The door didn't open. It exploded. Federal agents stormed in, badges flashing, tactical gear filling the room like a tidal wave. And at the front was Assistant Director Karen Ross, eyes sharp, jaw tight, FBI. "Nobody move," she barked before her eyes locked on Marcus. Bloodied wrists, calm face, the quiet dignity of a man who had endured humiliation to let the truth surface. Then she turned to Cole. "Officer, do you have any idea who you just assaulted?" Cole stammered, color draining from his face. He showed fake credentials. You racially profiled the director of the FBI." Ross cut him off cold. "You illegally detained a federal official, caused bodily harm, and ignored protocol. Congratulations, you just committed a federal crime on camera." Phones were still recording outside the glass. The internet was already boiling. Within minutes, hashtags blazed. "Justice for Hale." By morning, it was on every news channel. Marcus stood as agents cut the ties from his wrists. He didn't yell. He didn't gloat. He simply said, "Make sure every second of that footage is preserved. The American people need to see this, Cole." He was frozen, the smirk gone, his career dissolving in real time. When they let him out in handcuffs, the same phones that had filmed his swagger now filmed his shame. The fallout was nuclear. Testimonies poured in: doctors, engineers, veterans, people who'd been detained, questioned, humiliated by the same man or others like him. A pediatric surgeon told Congress that Cole once stopped her on her way to save a child, claiming her hospital badge looked fake. An engineer recalled being told his laptop probably contained terrorist codes. Each story stacked higher until the nation couldn't look away. Cole became the face of something bigger, the rot in a system that rewarded aggression over judgment. Congress held hearings, airlines threatened to pull contracts, and suddenly bias training wasn't a side note. It was law, the Airport Security Accountability Act, passed in record time. And through it all, Marcus Hale never raised his voice. He just told his story with the weight of someone who'd carried authority and prejudice long enough to know how they collide. When the trial came, Cole sat pale and broken. The jury didn't deliberate long. Guilty: civil rights violations, unlawful detention, assault under color of authority. The judge gave him 8 years. 8 years to think about the 30 minutes he thought made him a hero, Marcus. He walked out of that courtroom the same way he had walked out of the holding room, calm, composed, but with a new fire in his eyes. "This isn't about revenge," he told reporters. "It's about making sure no one else has to endure what I did not. Doctors, not engineers, not veterans, not the everyday travelers who don't have a federal badge to shield them." And that's where the story turns. Some people called it justice. Others called it overreach. Some swore Cole was just a product of bad training. Others said, no, he knew exactly what he was doing. What do you think? Was 8 years enough, too much, or not nearly close to justice for the humiliation and danger he caused? And deeper than that, if the director of the FBI can be treated like a suspect just because of his skin color, what does that say about how everyday folks get treated? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever witnessed or experienced discrimination at an airport, at work, or anywhere you thought you were supposed to feel safe? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it, because the conversation about justice doesn't end here. It starts with us. They told him to put his hands where they could see them. That bark, sharp and heavy, cut through the noise of the airport like a whip. Folks froze mid-stride, luggage wheels skidding to a stop. And there he was, Director Marcus Hale, head of the country's top law enforcement agency, standing calm, shoulders squared, briefcase still in hand. He wasn't just another traveler passing through. But the guard who stopped him didn't know that, or maybe didn't care. "Hands up, sir." "Don't make me ask again," the officer said. His name was Darren Cole, 31, fresh from a mall security gig and puffed up with the kind of authority that clings to a uniform. He looked